Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm doing this really cool series where I'm taking isolated vocal tracks and I'm doing a vocal tutorial, a vocal analysis, and also discussing the recording process. Next up, David Lee Roth, the band is Van Halen, and it's hot for teacher. It's about to get hot in here. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really cool. I have a singing course. The course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com, where I also have a free singing forum for you guys that are interested in learning how to sing. Bip, I'm over there. It's like 20,000 singers over there, all discussing all these cool little facts and singing tips, etc. So with that said, I want to get started, but I want to talk a little bit about David. So I grew up in Southern California all my life, and I got a chance to, bump into a lot of these various groups that came from LA. They came from Pasadena, which was not far from my house. And, it's interesting that, so there's two phases of Van Halen. There's the David Lee Roth era, and then there's my cousin, Sammy Hagar, that era of Van Halen, right? Now, here's what I find really interesting. The David Lee Roth era was a big party band. That was what the band was about. Now, obviously, Eddie Van Halen was a spectacular guitar player, one of the greatest guitar players that's ever lived, maybe one of the greatest, guitar legends of rock that has ever lived. I get that. It's cool. But the interesting thing is my cousin Sam, with I Can't Drive 55 and even his own stuff, Mas Tequila and all these different songs, he also had a sort of party, sort of like, let's call it a tailgate party sort of, approach to his music as well. What's really interesting is when David Lee Roth left the band and Sammy joined the band, even though the band had a lot more commercial success, it was a lot more corporate in its approach to music. Now, hear me out on this. Really think about this. So when you had the David Lee Roth era, I think the reason people have say, we like the David Lee Roth era better because they like the party band aspect of the looseness, the fun, the just kicking it around kind of thing. And we're going to see that here in Hot for Teacher and obviously a bunch of their tunes, right? When Sammy joined the band, it was all very corporate, very big, very thought out. It didn't carry the same party vibe, yet Sam's background also was a party kind of vibe, right? Isn't that weird? So when they joined together, the chemistry went much more towards a commercial sort of sound. So with that said, David Lee Roth, his vocals are, dare I say, almost kind of crooner-like, just a gigolo, and everywhere I go, people know the part I'm playing, right? Or I wish they all could be California girls, right? He's got that very almost caricatured sound. And a lot of people, say, oh, he has all this range, and how do I do that hooty fluty, whistle register kind of sound? Well, that actually, the reason he does that scream is I think he wished he had more range, and he wished he could have done some of the 80s metal screams that other bands did. So it was his contribution to that kind of scream. And it was because he was losing his voice, especially his falsetto, that it sounded kind of like Nuvan throat singers, where it's kind of got 3 or 4 tones in the voice when he goes up to sing. So not necessarily a very healthy sound, though you can get flageolet whistle register to do different tonal things like that safely. But I just want to point all this out because I get asked all these questions along the way. So let's just dive right into the party band, the original party band, Eddie Van Halen, Hot for Teacher, David Lee Roth. Let's do this. Here we go.
Oh, wow, man. Wait a second, man. What do you think the teacher's going to look like this year?
So you hear all kinds of things. Now, it's obviously manufactured. It makes it sound like they're sort of in the back alley, or maybe they're in like the foyer of, a school somewhere. But if kicking a bottle around implies, they're drinking, having a good time, smoking, whatever. And so they're immediately creating this party vibe. Now, there's a big section before this, and it's one of the first songs I learned way back as a kid on guitar. But so you are being set up for this, party vibe and what's about to happen. Let's listen to it one more time. But you can hear it's contrived too. They obviously put the pieces together to make it sound like, like boys kicking it in the back of an alley somewhere, right?
Oh, wow, man. Wait a second, man. What do you think the teacher's going to look like this year? Whoa!
Okay, cool. So here we have this kind of setup for this whole thing. Now we're going to go into the actual song. Check it out. Here we go. Okay, now quickly, he's only got a little bit of delay on his vocal. That's it. There's nothing spectacular about, oh yeah! He's got that kind of, David Lee Roth. Now you can hear too him struggling and trying to reach notes along the way. So I have this saying, I'm gonna say it again, a singer is only a singer because they have the guts to be one. I don't think a lot of real singers think of David Lee Roth as a great singer. They think of him as a character voice. They think of him as the life of the party. They think of him as a phenomenal entertainer, especially back in the early Van Halen days and so forth. He was just gifted in lots of ways of engaging people. And he was very, very athletic and so forth. But anyway, so let's continue on. But I just want to point that out that, it was more about the party vibe. Sammy, on the other hand, is a singer. So there's a big difference in, let's call it the musicality of the talent of the voice itself. But that fit the motif of what the band was about here at this point in their career.
Teacher, stop that screaming. Teacher, don't you see? Don't want to be no uptown fool.
So, teacher, stop that, right? See, right? He's kind of, he's using what he's got, right? He's taking whatever he's got and he's using it. Now, he did use a lot of falsetto and he goes in head voice a lot. And you hear him do it through the song, but it's not that phenomenal. It's just the groove and the vibe and the party and the energy. Everything fits together with the music. We'll pull the music in a minute, but I just wanted to point that out as you listen to it one more time. Check it out.
Teacher, stop that screaming. Teacher, don't you see? Don't want to be no uptown fool.
Now, if you notice, there's no real rhyme or reason it's not a teacher dip it bump that boob, don't dip it after school, right? It's all just kind of random, like talking phrases. There's nothing about it that's kind of when you get to the guys, I miss all that education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this. We're gonna get, more to a little bit more of a rhythmic, something that makes sense from a rhythmical pattern, a syncopated singing. But in these parts here, it makes no sense at all. It's just his personality kind of reading a script and telling you how he feels about it, okay? So listen to it one more time just so you can see what I mean. Check it out.
Don't you see? Don't want to be no uptown fool.
Right?
Maybe I should go to hell, but I'm doing well and teacher needs to see me after school.
Right, and now he's got, teacher needs to see me after school. Right, so if you guys want to sort of do a caricature and an imitation, of David Lee Roth, is everything's kind of like this, right? You gotta way over exaggerate your words and lyrics and facial gesticulations, whatever, right? Anyway, I just want to point that out too. Here we go.
I think of all the education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this.
Now, I don't know this for certain, but I suspect that Michael Anthony played a considerable role in a lot of this because the high vocals are him, and it gets tight and it gets more melodic and more musical when Anthony's singing with David and they kind of work out their parts. That's when there's musicality involved instead of just random phrases being tossed to and fro throughout the song. Then it starts to be cohesive, and then there becomes a hook in it that we can all kind of almost sing along to. And you're gonna see what I mean again in the next line here. Check it out.
Oh, got it bad, got it bad.
But did you ever hear this? Oh, that scream, his David Lee Roth scream coming into this section. Listen close. I never knew this stuff until I got these vocal stems. So you hear all these little things you never realized were in the track. Check it out.
Oh, got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher.
Now think about this. Really, I get on American Idol, or The Voice, let's say. The chairs are facing the other direction, and I come in, got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher, right? They'd be like, I'd get the gong from the Gong Show, and they would have ejected me off the stage. That's what's interesting about music today and most things that are being done, especially everything in the box, where everything's auto-tuned and whatever. It's about the personality. It's about the energy. In his case, it's about the party. It's about, bringing people in, having a good time. You know what I mean? It's about, come on, let's go, let's party, right? And so I doubt, seriously, there are so many epic, iconic bands that would have never made it on The Voice, never made it on American Idol or any of these X Factor, any of these shows, and yet they're considered to be the greatest bands in the world. So that's kind of a really interesting thing I think you guys should take a look at as we're negotiating all this stuff and taking a magnifying glass to these vocals and eventually the rhythm track too. So let's continue. Here we go.
Oh, got it bad, got it bad, got it bad.
There's our first hook right there.
Teacher, I've got it bad, so bad. I'm hot for teacher.
Now, if you listen, the syncopation isn't even really that tight on the vocals. It's kind of like they're singing around a room and got it bad, so bad. I'm hot for teacher. Listen, it's not that tight. Listen, check it out.
I've got it bad, so bad.
Hear that?
I'm hot for teacher.
Never, I'm hot for teacher. Like, it's not, I'm hot for teacher. It's not about singing, folks. It's about attitude, right? Seriously, man. Check it out. Like, next line. Here we go.
You plugged in me on Friday, or you don't?
Hey, I heard you missed us. We're back. Hey. I brought my pencil. Give me something to write on, man.
Friday night. Okay.
Like I never knew that was in there either. But you could tell, so it's a contrived party. They were looking for it. But they also were those guys. So it's not like when Sammy tried to do it. He had a couple songs in Van Halen where he kind of tried to be David Lee Roth. Man, it's like, I think Sam should have just stayed in his lane, which he did. I mean, he did some phenomenal work with Van Halen. But to try to be David was kind of silly. He was obviously trying to sing higher and higher than David Lee Roth could sing, right? So let's continue. Here we go. You can hear him. He's like really straining on that. No, listen. You can just that's the top of his range, right?
I heard about your lessons, but lessons are so cold. I know about
So cold. Right, he's got to go to that because he can't do the full voice version of that. And then again, he's just vibing on lyrics. There's no real melody, nothing.
out this score. Little girl from Cherry Lawn, how can you be so bold? How did you know the golden rule? I think of all the
Then we get back into some hook here, right? Whoops, I think of all the education.
the golden rule. I think of all the education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this.
Here we go.
Oh, got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher. I've got it bad, so bad. I'm hot for teacher.
See, it doesn't even sound, I'm off a teacher. Like he's not even trying to find the groove of the band necessarily, though it works because he's just plowing right over the top of it with his personality, right?
Whoa.
Right? And let's see if there's any more lyric here. We do have a couple more things coming up here, so check it out. Back to this.
Oh, man, I think the clock is slow.
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't feel tardy. Class dismissed.
See, when he goes, class dismissed, you can hear he's lost his voice a bit. Check it out. Listen to this. On dismissed.
Class dismissed.
Right? Now he could just be fun, class dismissed, but it sounds like a lot of fatigue in his voice there as well. So, here we go.
Ooh, yeah.
That's it. Ooh,
I got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hot for teacher.
Now, if I said, I'm hot for teacher, you'd think I was kind of strange, right? But because he's just a gigolo, and everywhere I go, he's got that croonery vibe that's working for him, man.
Oh, yes, I'm hot. Oh, yes, I'm hot.
Did you know? Oh, yes, I'm hot. He's kind of all in the same range. His little 4 or 5 notes back and forth. There's not much range there, folks.
Wow.
There's that infamous
Yes, I'm
scream.
hot.
Listen.
Wow.
Now that is caused when the chords lose good separation, okay, and they can't get that separation, all of a sudden it does a whistle, kind of whistle register where it breaks up in the harmonic structure of what should have been a complete, hey! It breaks up into several notes, 3 notes. Now, I can do that after I've sung way too much and hurt my voice in my falsetto register, or in my chest register and my falsetto register, and get that sound, but it is not a healthy sound. It sounds cool, but it's not a healthy sound.
Wow.
Okay? All right, there's a couple more of these. Here we go.
Oh my God!
Okay, anyway, so that's David. Now, I want to show you guys how this works out with the track, because it fits so well. It's amazing how well this works. So I'm just going to I have the original track. I'm going to put it in. Check this out.
Oh, wow, man. Wait a second, man. What do you think the teacher's going to look like this year? Whoa!
By the way, the band is kind of interesting. I want to point something out. From the it speeds up when the band comes in. It's kind of shifts gears a little bit. I don't know if you guys, you instrumentalists, know that, but check this out. Watch this. Right?
Teacher, stop that screaming. Teacher, don't you see? Don't wanna be no uptown fool. Maybe I should go to hell, but I'm doing well. Teacher needs to see me after school.
You're all that you and everybody else, I'm gonna have a conversation with ya over this music, right? There's no like real, on the dotted line kind of, what we would come to expect if someone were writing a song. Just him vamping and vibing and ad-libbing over the top of this with some lyrics, right? Kind of finding the pockets and finding cool ways of making the phrases work. And then it gets a little more uniform right here.
I think of all the education that I missed, but then my homework was never quite like this. Oh, got it bad. I'm hot the teacher.
Then there's some uniformity there, right?
I got it bad, so bad. I'm hot the teacher.
And then back to this, guys. Anyway, hopefully you found this informative, and definitely check out my next video.
I got it bad, so bad.